They are Hollywood legends, faces the whole world celebrates, standing under the dazzling lights of fame. But in Clint Eastwood's eyes, they are names he never wants to hear again. Shut your mouth, or I'll shoot you right now. Those words, cold as steel, marked the final line between his patience and his true fury. Eastwood, the man who spent his entire life in the silence of gunfire and film sets, had endured every rumor, every backstab with a polite smile. But some people crossed the final line. Those he once trusted, once called friends, turned their backs and mocked him with venomous words. Eastwood is just a mediocre director, nothing special at all. And then there were the younger ones, arrogant enough to call Eastwood a grumpy old man, as if they understood the world better than he did, the man who helped define modern cinema itself. At 95, Clint Eastwood still carries bitterness in his heart when their names are mentioned. Directors, Hollywood stars who shattered his trust, people he despised until his final days. Who are they? Why did they dare to challenge the man the entire Hollywood feared? Let's uncover the 7 names Clint Eastwood hated the most and the untold reasons behind these lifelong grudges. 1. Michael Moore, the man Eastwood threatened with a gun. It all began with Bowling for Columbine, Michael Moore's Oscar-winning documentary that took sharp aim at America's gun culture. In one controversial scene, Moore unexpectedly appeared at the home of Charlton Heston, the Hollywood legend and president of the National Rifle Association. With a camera in hand, Moore questioned Heston about the NRA's responsibility after the Columbine massacre. Heston, elderly and battling Alzheimer's, appeared confused on camera. The scene enraged many, including Eastwood. In a dim room at his Los Angeles home, Eastwood watched the footage and clenched his fists. Who the hell does this guy think he is, barging into someone's home like that? To Eastwood, a fierce defender of gun rights and personal values, Moore's actions were a deep insult. Heston deserved respect, not to be exploited when he couldn't even defend himself. Eastwood told a close friend, his voice cold with anger. So, at an awards ceremony in 2005, Eastwood took the stage in a sleek black suit, his silver hair gleaming under the lights, eyes sharp as ever. He paused as his gaze found Moore in the audience. A smirk spread across his face, not a friendly one. His voice growled slow and deliberate. Michael Moore and I, we actually have something in common. We both love free speech in this country. The audience chuckled but froze as he continued. But if you ever come to my door with that camera of yours, Michael, I'll kill you. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd, but Moore's face went pale. Eastwood leaned toward the microphone, his tone low, deadly serious. I mean it. The hall went dead silent. Moore, sitting below, felt his blood boil. He just threatened me. In front of thousands, he thought, gripping his chair. He knew Eastwood wasn't joking. This was the man who had gunned down villains on screen for decades, and now he was looking at Moore like a target. After the event, Moore stormed outside, calling his manager. Clint Eastwood just threatened to kill me. He's insane. I've been threatened by lunatics ever since Bowling, and now this cowboy. He shouted into the phone, shaking with rage and fear. He remembered bomb threats to his home from NRA supporters, and Eastwood's words only poured fuel on the fire. 10 years later, tensions flared again when Eastwood released American Sniper, the biopic of legendary Navy SEAL sniper Chris Kyle. The film was widely praised, but not by Moore. On Twitter, he wrote, "My uncle was killed by a sniper in WBP. We didn't call them heroes. We called them cowards shooting from afar." He slammed American Sniper as a mess of historical revisionism, accusing Eastwood of glorifying war. Moore's post spread like wildfire. At CinemaCon that year, the 85-year-old Eastwood, still razor-sharp, was asked about Moore's criticism. He smirked and said dryly, "People say I threatened to kill Michael Moore. Not true." He paused, eyes glinting mischievously. "But I gotta say, it's not the worst idea. The crowd erupted in laughter, but across the country, Moore seethed and trembled. Even after all these years, Eastwood never backed down. He defended his films, dismissing Moore's attacks as ignorance. To observers, their feud symbolized two extremes ideals versus realism, art, versus politics, reverence, versus rebellion, a clash so fierce it made Hollywood itself hold its breath. But the tension between Eastwood and Michael Moore was nothing compared to the man he despised, even more the one he wanted to silence personally. To Spike Lee, the man he told to shut up. In 2008, at the Cannes Film Festival, a fiery war of words broke out between two Hollywood titans, Clint Eastwood, the hero of westerns and war epics, and Spike Lee, the acclaimed director known for his sharp portrayals of race and American society. Their conflict didn't stem from personal hatred, but from clashing worldviews. One believed in portraying history as it happened, the other believed history must include the forgotten. Spike Lee publicly criticized Eastwood for his two Iwo Jima films, Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. To Lee, these works were flawed portrayals of history because Eastwood completely omitted black soldiers who fought in the battle. Clint Eastwood made two movies about Iwo Jima and not one black face on screen, Lee said at Cannes, his tone sharp and defiant. Black soldiers fought and died there, but to him, they didn't exist. A month later, in a dim office at Malpaso Productions, Eastwood faced a journalist from The Guardian. Taking a sip of coffee, his eyes hardened. "What's this kid saying about me that I erased black soldiers from Iwo Jima?" He smirked, voice calm but heavy with steel. "The story of Flags of Our Fathers is about the flag-raising photo, and none of them were black. I told it as history wrote it. A guy like Spike Lee should shut his mouth." Eastwood didn't stop there. He recalled with sarcasm he once complained when I made Bird about Charlie Parker. "Why's a white guy making a movie about black jazz?" Funny thing is, I was the only one who dared make it with a 90% black cast. Now he wants me to rewrite Iwo Jima. Who does he think I am, some grumpy old man he can boss around? His words hit like gunfire. Across headlines, Eastwood's phrase, "shut his mouth," became explosive. In New York, Lee read it and felt his blood boil. "Not the first time a white man's told me to shut up," he muttered, recalling his days protesting racism in Brooklyn. Lee wasn't one to stay quiet. In another interview a month later, wearing his trademark cap, his voice shook with fury. "First of all, Clint Eastwood ain't my daddy, and this ain't the plantation. He's a great director, fine. He makes his films, I make mine. But tell me to shut up. Come on, Clint, come on." He's the grumpy old man here. He slammed his fist on the table, eyes blazing. "I'm not criticizing for myself. I'm speaking for those black soldiers erased from history. Clint thinks he can tell tweets without them. That's not history. That's propaganda." But Eastwood stood firm. At another press event, when asked about Lee's response, he shrugged coldly. "If Spike wants to make a movie about black soldiers, go ahead. I'm not stopping him. But don't tell me how to make mine. I tell my story, and I don't apologize for it." The war of words raged all summer, dividing Hollywood. Some sided with Lee, calling Eastwood racially tone-deaf. Others defended Eastwood, saying he was true to the facts. By September, at a Lakers game, Spike Lee ran into Steven Spielberg, producer of both Iwo Jima films and Lee's close friend. Under the stadium lights, Lee sighed. "Steven, it's over. I'm done fighting Clint." Spielberg, ever the diplomat, called Eastwood that night. "Clint Spike didn't mean harm. He just wants the full story told," he said gently. Eastwood, sitting in his Carmel home, was silent, then replied, "All right, Steven. If Spike wants it buried, I won't dig it up."